Good morning. Right now in the last um, lesson on this unit, relate tables, graphs, and equations. So our essential question now, how can you analyze the relationship between the dependent variable and independent variable using the tables, graph, and equation? And I know that we can analyze the relationship between them. And our lesson overview is the same thing. We're gonna do an example and then we're gonna do practice. Alright? So here we go. Alright, so before we start, we'll do a do now. So let's go solve and discuss. So Nancy walks 4 blocks to Maria's house. Together, they continue to walk. Nancy and Maria walk can be described with an equation of n, which is Nancy, equals m plus 4, where n is the number of blocks Nancy walks and m is the number of blocks Maria walks. Describe how the equation, data, table, and graphs reflect Nancy and Maria's walk. So this is where Nancy's house is and this is where Maria's house is. So you're gonna describe that. So if you look at it, this is the table that will describe the relationship. So you have n equals m plus 4. So if Maria walks 1 block, so Nancy will go 5. And if Maria do the 2, then Nancy has, if Maria do 2, then Nancy will make it 6 blocks. And so on and so forth. And here is the graph that looks like for their data. I'm going to create a graph for that one. So the y we could represent for the number of blocks Nancy walks, and the x-axis we could represent to the number of blocks that Maria walks. So if you look at this, if Maria walks 1 block, then Nancy will walk 5 blocks. And that's how you graph their data. If Maria walks 2, then Maria walks 6. 3, then Maria walks 7. Okay? That's how it goes. Alright? So let's apply this idea to our lesson for today. Let's move on.
Relationship between dependent and independent variables using tables, graphs, and equations. Think about this question during the lesson. The Booster Club members want to raise $50 to donate to a local charity. They buy pom-poms for 55 cents each. How many pom-poms do they need to sell to reach their fundraising goal? To begin solving this problem, which is the most useful quantity to calculate?
Select your answer.
Begin by calculating the money raised from each sale of a pom-pom. The sale price of a pom-pom is $1, and the cost of a pom-pom is 55 cents. The difference is 45 cents. So, the Booster Club raises 45 cents for each pom-pom that they sell. Now, let's identify the variables. Let n represent the independent variable, which is the number of pom-poms sold. Let r represent the dependent variable, which is the amount of money raised. How can you use a table, a graph, and an equation to analyze the relationship between independent and dependent variables? First, let's make a table to relate the two variables. For example, if 10 pom-poms are sold, or n equals 10, then the amount of money raised is 10 times 45 cents, which is $4.50. If n equals 50, then r equals 50 times 45 cents, or $22.50. If n equals 110, then r equals $49.50. Notice that r, the amount of money raised, depends on n, the number of pom-poms sold. Next, graph the ordered pairs as points on the coordinate plane. The points are at the coordinates 10, 4 and 50 hundredths, 50, 22 and 50 hundredths, and 110, 49 and 50 hundredths. Connect the points with a straight line. Now, we're ready to write an equation that describes the relationship between n, the number of pom-poms sold, and R, the money raised. What number completes the equation shown here? The amount of money raised, R, is 45 hundredths times the number of pom-poms sold, N. To find out how the goal of $50 can be reached, substitute R equals 50 into the equation and solve for N. Divide both sides by 45 hundredths to find that N is a little more than 111. However, the Booster Club cannot sell a fraction of a pom-pom. So, the Booster Club must sell at least 112 pom-poms to raise $50. Now you know how to relate quantities using a table, a graph, and an equation.
Alright, so now you could work on this scenario. Let's see if we could apply what we learned. So the Booster Club now raises 41 cents for each pom-pom they sell, right? So complete the table over here to complete them. It's over here, complete it in your book too. Write and solve the equation to find how many pom-poms they need to sell to raise $50. So later on, we'll talk about it to go. Alright, let's look at our example number 2. And let's listen to this one for about temperature.
The temperature was 6 degrees Celsius at 8 a.m. and increased 2 degrees Celsius each hour for 6 hours one spring day. What was the temperature after 6 hours? One way to solve the problem is to make a table to relate the number of hours, N, to the temperature, T. The starting temperature was 6 degrees Celsius. So when N equals 0, T equals 6. Then the temperature increased 2 degrees every hour and 4 degrees after 2 hours. The temperature was 18 degrees Celsius after 6 hours. Notice that the temperature, T, depends on the number of hours passed, N. Another way to represent the problem is to graph ordered pairs on the coordinate plane. Plot the number of hours, N, on the x-axis. Plot temperature in degrees Celsius, T, on the y-axis. Show the starting temperature of 6 degrees Celsius by plotting a point at the coordinates 0, 6. The temperature increased 2 degrees Celsius each hour. As the x-coordinate increases by 1, the y-coordinate increases by 2. Each point on the graph corresponds to one of the rows of the table in step 1. We can extend the line. The dashed blue segments show that the point with coordinates 6, 18 is a point on the line. The temperature was 18 degrees Celsius after 6 hours. Finally, you can represent the problem by writing an equation that describes the relationship between hours, N, and temperature, T. The starting temperature is 6 degrees Celsius, so begin the equation by writing T equals 6. Then the temperature increases 2 degrees every hour, so the equation is T equals 6 plus 2N. Now substitute 6 for N and then solve for T. Multiply 2 times 6 equals 12 and add 6 plus 12 equals 18. Once more, the temperature was 18 degrees Celsius after 6 hours.
Alright, so this time we're going to be working on your own after watching that video for Envision. So, a company makes decoration for pens. All supplies cost $5, and the company plans to sell the decorations for $2 a piece. Analyze the relationship between the number of decorations sold and the profit by completing the table on the graph. Use the table and the graph to write and solve an equation to find the number of decorations that must be sold for the company to make $15 profit. Good luck! Alright, so let's go on our additional practice. So we will answer together. Do you understand? I want you to try it yourself first, and then we'll work on it together after a while. Alright, work on it and then we'll talk. Alright, so with that, let's do our self-assessment. How is your mathematical goal? Able to gain knowledge about this, or our language goal? And just check up where you are, and then that will help me to know how much we could move forward. Okay? Until next time, everyone. Bye.